I screwed up, everyone. Welcome to the archive, folks, where I forgot to hit start recording. Oh well, that means once again the Andrew warning of, hey, whoops, sometimes there's like a little surprise for the live show, which is you get the beginning. Anyway, this is Indiepocalypse Radio. I'm the host, Milky Lemon, who made Yuki's 4P is here. Yuki's 4P is short for Yuki's palpitating, passionate, phenomenal, quite frankly, proficient. Quest for a, open parentheses, hot, close parentheses, girlfriend. There was you don't need my show notes about Jimmy Eat World and Kasi-san archive, folks. But yeah, AMVs, I like them a lot. There are ways of like, and also because I like, a wide variety, or what's the word for saying you're a real jerk about music? Not that you dislike people's taste, but more that you just like listen to a lot of stuff and you're like, what's on the radio? I don't care about that. I want to listen to weird Bandcamp stuff all day. It makes it hard to find what you're looking for sometimes. So it's a real treat to find, like, hey, here's, there was like, I think 1 or 2 LCD sound system AMVs on the internet at all. And one of them didn't even exist until like the 3rd AMV night. And then I played it again because I hear they did Bebop wrong. And I like that song. Anyway, that's AMVs. They're just like, they're fun. People make them a lot still. And it's like, people, they really like anime and they really like these songs, and also I think it's a really good way of checking out anime, or like enjoying an anime in a way that you would never actually enjoy the show itself, but you can get like something out of it still. Like, I don't know if I would
that sounds cool.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know if I would ever watch, like, Soul Eater. It seems like I would dislike it, but it looks cool sometimes. And I can enjoy it in 3.5-minute bites of someone cutting out all the coolest looking bits where I don't have to, like, also listen to the plot or whatever, or the stuff that I hate.
Do you ever watch anime at like 2 times speed?
No, I don't do anything at 2 times speed. The people who live that life are dangerous people. I'm afraid of them. I don't know how to live like that. I guess
I do that sometimes just to like save time.
Yeah. I imagine if you're like, I'm gonna watch One Piece as well.
Oh my god, that's way too long.
I was gonna say, were you born 10 years ago? Because otherwise you're good
I
luck.
was, thankfully.
Yeah. No, I mean, it'd be amazing if you weren't born 10 years ago when you made this game.
God, I'd be a prodigy of sorts.
This is this 9-year-old wonder. But, I mean, and also it's like, kudos to making, as someone who has to play a lot of visual novels often, it's a real challenge to make a visual novel like good, or rather I think it's a lot easier to write a visual novel than it is to make a good visual novel, because if you can do your own art, that's just words. Anyone can write words, but good words are a lot harder to do, I think, or kind of like engaging words.
What do you like about visual novels actually? Like, are you more of an art person, or like do you appreciate the writing more?
I'm kind of like a whole package kind of person, and if like one is really strong over the other, I like, oh yeah, this is really strong art. I can tolerate, writing that they could have like trimmed every other line out of it. Or if the writing's very good, they could like, this art's fine, I guess, or just like forgettable. But I'm a big comic fan, so I kind of love the marriage of the two, where people can do it. Um, yeah, I've never really like gotten into like those, massively long visual novels that are just like,
Oh, like Planet?
yes, or like Umineki? Nope. Nope. I'm thinking
Umineko.
Umineko. I knew I was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, I don't have time for the world's longest novel or whatever it is. Or it's harder to find the time. But it's like, I'm getting there. I had like a giant stack. I have weird, just like systems and ways that I do things. Where it's like, well, I have to finish all my comics first because they take up physical space. So I need to finish reading them. And then I can, read or watch all the movies that I haven't finished yet because I bought them and they take up physical space. And then I can go back to the digital world and play games and things like that. But I've definitely thought about like, what if I just like played old visual novels or played like a lot of visual novels?
What's your favorite?
I
Oh, wait. That question is not good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Which ones do you like?
Well, the thing is, I haven't. My desire to play them is actually because of a lack of knowledge, and that I haven't played very many visual novels that like outside of like the games that are literally included in the zine. I don't know if I've actually played very many visual novels. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I played a little like Long Live the Queen, but that's kind of like visual novel adjacent,
Yeah.
I played like Analog A Hate Story a while back when that was like more current. I'm trying to think. I'm sure they'll be like, oh, here's a bunch of visual novels I played that I can't think of. But I don't actually like it's a blind spot, and that's I guess in a way technically all those Ace Attorney games are sort of like visual novels.
Oh, yeah. I like those.
I guess I've played most of those, or like that first volley of them. Actually no, I say I played most of them. I think I only played the first 3.
Have you played Danganronpa?
I have not played Danganronpa. There's that whole like Danganronpa. They're like the collective. What is there a collective name for all those the the Virtue's Last Escape games? I think is what they call.
Oh my gosh, I love that trilogy.
Yeah, and is that the same? Is that the Selenium AI files? Is that part of it, or is that just like the same team?
I think it's by the same team, but they're different franchises.
Okay. Zero Escape. Perfect. I have
Yeah.
we have a question from the chat about Doki Doki, and I have real hesitations about ever playing Doki Doki Literature Club.
I recommend that with all my heart.
Okay, because I feel sometimes like oh my god, there's a lot of questions now. Because I've been around the block a couple times. I sometimes worry that like Doki Doki is like an intro or like an introduction to a concept that I'm familiar with, and that'll be like, oh, it's fine. It didn't blow my mind. It kind of cursed visual novels, I think, a little, as all popular visual novels tend to do.
Have you played it?
I have not, no.
Oh, well, I guess it does seem kind of cliche, like it's not the first visual novel that did it.
Right,
but also in a sense, like it starts off as just you really think it's a dating sim about cute anime girls, and then shit goes down.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the sort of with the core conceit, but I've even played. Where is it? I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. I made an image like forever ago that may be irrelevant by the time that I got around to posting it. because I saw someone be like, there was a game that was like vaguely metatextual or something, or a little bit dark. It might have even been like Umi Neko or something, like some very old visual novel. And some a YouTuber or a streamer was like, dude, it's just like Doki Doki. All these games are Doki Doki, and it's like,
Doki Doki are like those games.
yeah, it's like poor enough for visual novel fans. This is what I made. Okay, so the idea being, of course, that like finally freed from the curse of, wow, what if you were dating games, but you dated a horse or a building or a thing, and then fucking Doki Doki comes up. Well, goodbye, friend. Also, like, Hatoful Boyfriend's not even that. Like, it's not even like a joke. It's very sincere, from what I understand of it.
Yeah, I love that game.
But then it turned into like a weird joke genre, you know?
Yeah. I think people know it more of as like a comedy kind of thing instead of what it really is.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to someone yesterday about like how very foundational works that spawn like really miserable things are often like very good themselves. He was saying that as in his staunch defense of K-On! And I was like, oh, those types of anime. But speaking of anime, question here from Pog, which is, did anime inspire any part of your game?
I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious that the main inspiration could be Ouran High School Host Club.
Okay.
Like I kind of just make the characters like as tropey as possible.
Yeah. Okay, you answered my follow-up question. I was going to say a very specific anime, but okay, there's a or in high school, there's like an era of anime that like really, I think, scarred me conceptually, where I'm still shell-shocked from the years of Yaoi Wars, you know? I can't.
The what?
I have shell shock from Yaoi still, I think, and like the
Oh
very
my
specific
God.
era of it, you know, the era that had pedals and that sort of thing. Where
Oh yeah.
I'm still so like skeptical of like manga about two men. I doubt it. It's probably just fucking like Hitalia, which is God save our eternal souls that is returning. Anyhow, speaking of that, a question from Let's Go, which seems like a follow-up of the previous question because it starts with or. What visual novels do you like, and do you think that they have helped you in your game-making process?
Oof. Oh. I guess a biggest source of inspiration would be Nom Nom Nami. She's like a creator on Itch as well.
Yes.
I just like her stuff. It's cute.
Yeah,
It's sincere.
also a big fan of that.
Yeah, she's
stuff.
cool, right?
Yeah, there's so many like good visual novels that people are making regularly, but also like, you know, it's PC only. Most of them, like, you can't port Renpai to the Switch or whatever.
Oh, right.
So like, how do you get those there? And then, but you know, people, it's the eternal. But like, you know, the people who are feasting on visual novels are well fed.
Yeah, it's a really saturated economy.
Yeah, I guess their cup overfloweth with visual novels of kind of like whatever you're looking for, even.
Yeah, there's like visual novels for everyone nowadays.
Yeah, like you can drill down on your very specific interest, and like you will find someone who has made they will find at least two visual novels for it. Maybe it is like, you know, two visual novels by the same person. You're there. If, for instance, you really, really like a real a real dummy with too many girlfriends, you might
Yeah,
find games in that genre.
that's right.
Speaking of the lightly alluded to Yuki's 4P, from Paradox Persona, what was your inspiration for Yuki's 4P, and how did you settle on the concept and those characters? Which I suppose you touched on lightly, but I guess to rephrase or to refocus it, was there any like direct inspirations for those characters in particular?
Not really, except for maybe Speaker. Like I was thinking of Tamaki from Oran Host Club. When
Okay.
I kind of came up with her. But the rest were just like, what are the most cliche tropes in anime? And just came up with the rest of them.
Yeah. Let's go back with another question: is what do you do in your free time?
Like a game? Recently, I've really been into Muse Dash.
Okay, I was gonna ask like what your game choice. Okay, Lemon, I have an ongoing query that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm trying to figure out Mario and like what his whole deal is. Are you familiar with Mario?
Yeah, the little Italian guy.
Yeah, he jumps around and stuff.
Yeah.
What's his deal? Do you
He's
like
a
him?
plumber. I mean, he's okay. I like Yoshi.
Okay. Yeah, he seems like a real. He actually seems like the real working class of the Mario universe. You know,
Yeah.
disposable and used to get higher ground.
That's so sad. But he's pretty good in Mario Kart.
Yes, I remember. Do you have now? This is a question like and a kind of adjacent Mario Kart question. Is do you have like a first Mario Kart and then it's like, that's my Mario Kart. Don't really need another one. If I wanted to play one, that's the one I'd want. Or do you continue on with it like ongoing? Like I want the new Mario Kart.
The last time I played Mario Kart was probably like a decade ago. It was on a 3DS, so I'm not really sure which edition it was, but that was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
You know that's my first intro. I think was the Super Nintendo Mario Kart, and it's like, well, I'm kind of like I kind of played I think the DS one, but I was like I'm Mario Karted out. Different people drive around in a circle. Or
Yeah, and
different
you
shapes.
beat them up with turtle shells.
Yeah, I liked the first one because you can shrink. You can flatten them, and I like that. Not in the internet. I like to flatten people kind of ways, but more like it's
Okay.
sometimes you need to cover your bases, before people
Yeah.
start taking your quotes out of context. Another question here from Paradox Persona. I was really impressed with the way you handled Haruka. Do you have any particular inspirations or touchstones when writing her?
I'm sorry if this is like not the right way to go about doing it, but I kind of just went on Reddit and read about trends, people's experiences of coming out because there's no one really around me who was. Well, I'm from a very conservative society, so even if my friends were trans,
Right.
I wouldn't know. So
Right.
there's not really like first-hand experience. But the coming out part, just coming out in general, not necessarily as trans, that part I'm familiar with, yeah.
Yeah, and experiences aren't universal, which is like
Yeah.
the tricky thing. So kind of like you can only sort of do your own best research and then use like what similar experiences you do have. It's all life is complicated, and that's why Indiepocalypse itself has like 2 or 3 or more games about gender dysphoria, and they're all different because experiences are different across different people's lives, But
Yeah.
yeah, it's all tricky, and it's all especially yes, it is very different in different countries, and even
Oh yeah, for sure.
and even different parts of different countries. So it's like it has like a whole different also like gender, people interpret it differently in like different cultures. So it's like it doesn't always like. I think it's very easy sometimes to get caught in like a very Western American view of how everything works.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much like intrinsic to just like growing up somewhere else that it's like almost impossible to understand fully because you just like you didn't grow up there and you just can't grasp it fully. But also people have the benefit of American culture is very what's the word? Strangling on the rest of the world. So it kind of imposes itself whether people like it or not. So it has that added benefit of, I guess your experience does translate because your culture brute forced it onto the rest of the world. Anyway. One final question then, we're finally caught up with the questions, is what other games are you working on / planning on working on?
I really want to release like a passion project next, but it's not really planned out. I'm not really sure when I'll be done with it, but maybe I'll like participate in game jams just to release like small little projects.
Yeah, there's a very good way to kind of like give yourself like forced discipline and to actually just put something out kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got me to actually properly finish things when I need to finish them before this whole thing. It's nice. Like I'm probably going to start once I finish all my tabletop games. I'm probably going to start just making at least a game a month when I have free time, even, I suppose. But do you have like an overarching idea? Like you can even mention in the broad terms for what your passion project is.
I don't know, it's like 5 teenagers finding themselves.
Okay. And I assume a visual novel?
Yeah. It's like the only medium I know how to create.
Yes, yeah. Now let's say for instance you had like just like whatever, like that piles of technical know-how to make whatever kind of game you would want. Would you want to work in a different genre or a different style?
I think it'd still be a visual novel, but like with cooler assets. Wait, what's that word? Technicalities.
Yeah, like you'd be able to do. Yeah. Like you'd be able to do other stuff as well on the side.
Yeah.
Kind of like an Ace Attorney game where it's like, oh, I can also do a trial if I want, which is more complicated than a visual novel.
Shoot people.
Oh wow! I suppose you could. But yeah, let me double check to make sure because they were coming in hot and fast. Yes, like GTA, a GTA visual novel.
Yeah, oh my god, a GTA visual novel.
What is, Milky Lemon, what is your dream of pitch me your GTA visual novel. How's it go down?
I obey all the traffic rules, don't kill anyone, and pick up all the ladies.
Perfect. So I mean, I presume, I don't think it comes up very much in Yuki's 4P, but I presume they mostly obey traffic laws?
I can't drive.
Oh. Yeah.
And I don't think I ever plan on getting a license.
It's one of those things where it's like, you don't necessarily need to for a lot of places, a lot of countries are like, they're not the US where you have to like, if I want to go like to a lot of places, I need to drive. Like there's a lot in the US. There's a lot of difference, of like, well, I can take a 10-minute car drive, or I can walk for an hour and nothing in between. Like that
Yeah,
was.
I tend to just rely on public transport.
Oh yeah, good luck finding that in the United States. Or like that runs on a regular schedule rather if you don't live in a city.
Ooh, yeah.
Or even if you're like city adjacent. I've had some weird troubles with public transit in like different cities. Like some are great. I like ones that have trains because trains, they stop at stops and they go off at stops. They don't have to like, you don't miss anything. You don't have to like. I've had to take a bus twice, and the infinite stress of a bus and being like, where is my stop? I have to like look at my maps app and be like, gotta get ready, because there's no like next stop is this and that. I have to like study my maps and go, yes, this is my stop, and hope I didn't pull the bell too early or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer trains too.
There, you know where they're gonna be on the track.
Yeah, they're reliable.
Yeah, you know, public transit in the U.S. is kind of like it's real scattershot, and like obviously like you know like trains like interstate trains are basically terrible, or they go like I want to take a train to Toronto, which is granted it's in Canada, but it's also like a 4-hour drive from me, so it's not that far relatively speaking. But also it would be like a 12-hour train ride because it has to like go down and then up and then all over the place. It's weird. The US is a nation of cars, and it's bad because these bad public transit, but also I am also the kind of person who really enjoys driving on a highway for like hours at a time. There's something about I don't know what it is. There's a simple pleasure to just driving on a highway.
Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know what it is. It's like I'm going to a destination, but I'm also trapped in here. It's kind of like the benefits of like taking a shower, where it's like, well, I have to do a thing, and I'm locked with myself for this very specific reason. It's a good time to clear your head, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Which I do like at least once a week. I've started drive. Also, it's one of the things, like if I want to get like, for instance, if I want to get like a euro, I have to drive like 30 minutes to go get one, and that's the closest one to me. But also it gives me time to like to decompress once a week, very distinctly. But anyway, enough about euros and all that stuff. And cars, I would not, if you can live without them, wouldn't recommend them.
Yeah, pollution isn't good.
Right? Yes. Right, and also they're expensive.
Yeah, they are so expensive.
To kind of put it into perspective, Indiepocalypse is funded mostly because I don't have car payments or student loans anymore, and all that money I was spending, I can now afford to do this every month. But like, once I went to the bank and I deposited some money, I was like, yes, deposited cash from sales. I'm riding high now. And then I took a turn too sharply, and I popped my tire, and there went all my money that I just deposited. So like, cars are like a beautiful $1,000 gamble. It's like, I'm going to bring it to a shop, and what's going to happen? It also feels like the only industry where we kind of like, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but at least in the US, there is kind of this cultural understanding or assumption that mechanics are lying to you, and we just kind of accept that. It's really bizarre.
Oh no.
Like, it feels like the only like understood to be untrustworthy profession, to the fact where it's like when there is one that people like trust, everyone flocks to that one. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, maybe they lie, so it spoils again and you have to come back.
That's what I think. That's what everyone assumes, but it's really, I guess it's kind of like strange that maybe we just don't have the technology for like the average driver and consumer to like know any better, to be able to prove people wrong, or the time to be like, I need a second opinion. And who's to say the second opinion won't just jack you up with more stuff? Anyway, cars you drive and then you hear a rattling and then you just turn up your radio so you don't hear it anymore. And that's kind of like it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, back up the head. Don't think about it.
Yes, don't need it. They're like, yeah, cars and our bodies just turn off the sound and then makes the problems pretend they're not there anymore. Anyhow, those are also like, speaking of things that are surprisingly and dangerously expensive. I don't know what's more terrifying, the idea of like, well, I'm going to bring in my car for a check. We're going to bring in myself, my soul car for a checkup, and think of which one will end up costing me more money in the end. But anyhow, I've been rambling. But anyway, speaking of questions, and let me think. I had something, and I lost something, and see whenever I'm realizing that like you've hit 30 minutes where it's usually like, yes, I'm cresting into the break time. I need to rejuvenate myself. But now I've been talking for 30 minutes, and now I'm like, uh-oh, I got to keep going. I can't break. But that's good. Do you have any reverse questions? Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, what kind of games do you make?
Ooh. I work in Game Maker, but aside from that, I try to kind of like make whatever I can make within that. I'm gonna start doing. Are you familiar with Famicase?
No, what's that?
It's it's this project started by a Japanese gallery, like I think in 2008 or something, where they would make fake Famicom cases, or like covers for fake Famicom games. And then at some point, I can't remember, like probably like quite longer ago than I think, somebody started doing a game jam that said, hey, primarily the inspiration was, plugging one of those Famicase games and like making the game that exists within that game.
Oh.
And like interpreting what that is. So like, what have I made? I've made a couple. I started an adventure game studio, which is making adventure games. I've made a couple of visual novels in Adventure Game Studio and Tyranno Builder. I've made. What else have I made? What else have I made? The thing I was working on, like the Indiepocalypse project, kind of, that was the thing that made me start this, because I didn't want to make it super long, but wanted to make money, so I wanted to make a thing where people can make games that weren't super long but made money. Was like a wrestling game, but it was like Live Alive, which is this unreleased in English JRPG by Square for the Super Nintendo, and there was like that plus like the sort of like the Mario RPG, like timed attack system, and also like a script. It was like wrestling was fake, but it was real, or like you were playing the actor. There, somewhere in the back of my brain is the pitch that I gave it shows, and it's kind of like slowly resurfacing. But I like interpretive works, I guess. I like to look at something and try to turn it into a game and try to find the best way I can to marry gameplay and story. A lot of direct control stuff, I guess. I don't know. I like to work abstractly, or like try to make a game that is more like hit with the idea of something. I don't know. I just like games, and I like making weird stuff. And soon I can do it again, hopefully. I also like doing tabletop stuff because it's really easy. Because really easy in the fact that you don't have to like code something and program anything. But
is it difficult to like come up with the rules though?
Yeah, yes. Coming up with the rules is actually not as hard either, I think, depending on, I mean, it could be hard for person to person, but the difficult part is sort of like balancing them, I guess. If it's a game that actually like things are supposed to be balanced, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You have to like play test a lot, and I just kind of throw things out there and don't worry about balance and that sort of thing. The thing I'm working on now, which I've pretty much only drawn most of the sprites for and haven't actually... Oh, no, that's not true. I did also create the project file. Is like the very first Famicase game where... It's a tricky one because it's a game where you're supposed to eject the cartridge, or it's like a game about ejecting cartridges, and the Famicase is for like the cartridge that gets ejected, but I'm kind of just making a game version of that. We got a little hand, and you eject a cartridge.
Oh.
Let me get that. I have it. I have the page open. I'm so clever. I have it open right now. I will just be like, do one of these in the chat, where it's like, that's the 08 one. I think that's the first one, or that's the first one that's still available online. And it has all these. I think this is back when it was like actually like pretty much just only in Japan, and it's since now it's kind of all over the world. Everyone submits these sorts of things, and you'll get people from anywhere.
So these are like fake games.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the idea being like, and then the game jam is the idea is using, this is like, you can use, they say to use like any kind, but this has like a lot of covers, which like make the game that you think this cover is for.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I like coming from my creative process. I like being anchored to something. Because it's sometimes hard for me to do something when I don't have when I have too much open space. But something like this kind of really nails it down for me. It gives me a very clear vision to work towards. But we've got more questions that have come in from another blank. What made you come up with the titles of your two games?
Oh my god. I was inspired by those obnoxiously long light novel titles.
Yes.
Where they just like describe the entire plot of the book.
I think we had one like in the. Now I'm actually gonna check to see who's longer. There was another game that was similarly titled, or like took that same inspiration in like a very early issue. It's like I've got my class is hero, and I've got 99 lives, something. Where is it? Where? Yes, I have low stats, but my class is leader, so I recruited everyone I know to fight the Dark Lord. Let me do a quick character count real quick. Let's see who actually is highest. Yeah, but people really like those. Those, I guess the games that or the light novels that are the end result of those, I suppose, because they make a lot of them, and I wonder if that just like plays differently in Japan, like linguistically, than it does in the US,
Yeah.
than it does in English. Like it just, I mean, it can't be shorter, but like it just, the structure of it or something, or it reads differently. But we've had, the U.S. rather has had plenty of people who have like very long titles. No, yours is the longer. Congratulations, you have the longest title currently.
Thank you.
In Indiepocalypse. And that's even if we take off those exclamation points at the end. Oh, it's readability. It's also college graduate level. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm gonna wear that badge of honor with pride.
Use a lot of intense, large, multisyllabic words. Speaking of Yuki's 4P still, for people who haven't played it, what would you say it's about? Beyond what the title itself describes.
A girl wants to get a girlfriend, but she ends up with 3.
There you go, right as it says on the tin, in a way. And you can see them if you see the little image. You got all 3 of them there, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, they're chilling with her.
They're not actually that small. I think. No, there are other CGs where they are not that small.
Yeah, they're not that small, actually.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was gonna have a realization. Like, wait a minute, I never saw them next to each other, but they're next to each other quite a lot, and they are not ankle high. That seems like it'd be like a difficult dynamic to work with, dating someone
It'd be kind of cute, but yeah, difficult to work with.
Yeah, I mean, cheap if you go to restaurants because you can just like buy an appetizer for the 3 of them.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you can take them with you, but also like, I don't know. Being just that small complicates a lot of things. Very easy to lose.
Oh yeah.
Also, most things don't have like 3 equal pockets, So someone's gonna get either like a good pocket or a worse pocket.
Someone's got to share.
Or that too. So, but on the flip side, someone has to be alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If someone's out there, there's a free idea. You're dating tiny girlfriends. I mean,
Tiny people.
Tiny little people. But one normal sized person. It's important. This is very important. It's not one giant person and 3 regular sized people. It's one. It's Pikmin style, where you have 100 girlfriends, but they all, form together around the bell, and you just climb up into this horrific amalgamation of 100 people clinging together to make one regular average height person.
Oh, that sounds horrifying.
You know what? Scrap that. We went too far. I flew to the sun, and the sun was like, I'm hot up here. And I was like, I love hot stuff, dude. And I said wrong kind, and I got burned. But speaking of getting burned by the sun, what is there anything that you feel like you want to do in the game making process, and you go, no, this is too self-indulgent, or do you Embrace all your self-indulgence when you can.
I wanted to make it longer at first. Like, instead of just having a day with each character, it'd be like a week. But there just wasn't enough time.
Yeah. Well, that's where you get the definitive edition, the director's cuts down the road.
You get to spend more time with them.
Yeah, so you're like, finally, I have the resources to make my week-long version. Your open world, this is, it all goes into your GTA version. You have to pick them up at their house.
Yeah.
Very politely.
And you obey all the traffic laws.
Take them to a nice place, take them to a nice restaurant. Properly park your car. Yeah, that's the one other thing they don't tell you about cars. You have to park them when you get somewhere too. And if you don't, say, for instance, have billions of space for parking lots, you just gotta park on the street, and I don't wish that on anyone.
Will you get a ticket if you do that?
No, I just hate doing it. I hate parallel. I never parallel park because I hate it.
Sounds horrible.
It is. I had to do it once to get my license. I don't think I've ever done it since. I always just I'll just keep driving until I can be at the front or the end of a line of parallel parking spaces. Because I can go backwards or forwards very easily. But side to side, no thank you. Cars don't go sideways. Wish they did, but they don't. But we are actually, I think, yes. So, Milky Lemon, we are actually approaching our. It seems shorter because the recording time is missing a little bit up at the top. But we are cresting our hour mark, and I try to keep these around an hour so that they are, more digestible later on, rather than, going on for because when I started, I was just, some of these I think were almost 2 or 3 hours long, and that is a lot to listen to, even if it's enjoyable stuff to listen to. So, we're going to wrap this up. Not real quick, but because I often find myself getting caught in conversation still as a habit of myself. But we're going to move towards our end point here. And do you have any last, let me do my one last check. Yes, good thing I did one last check for questions because there are still remaining questions. Oh shit, question for me. Do I like living in America? There are no public transports. Okay, so public transportation is very sporadic if you live in a more rural area like I do. In cities, it's not as bad, but it also depends which city. Because I've gone to where did I go? Yeah, I went to Ohio, and I think I was in a city, but the buses didn't even run on Sunday. And it was what? What if I had to take an Uber to the airport? And luckily I did it 2 a.m., so it wasn't very expensive. But I don't know. Generally, I have very little attachment to sort of the place where I live, sort of. And because of the internet, you can kind of avoid having to be in the place that you live. But America is complicated, It's real complicated. It's not the people that are there's a lot of people in the underbelly of America, and I mean that in the positive underbelly. That is America isn't all wealth and excess, and there's a lot of people here. There is the dream of the ideal version of America where it's hey, we're just a weird mishmash of everyone from all over the world. So you meet all kinds of people, and like the joke of like, what is American culture? It's because, well, no, American culture is like everyone's culture. That's like, it's an amalgamation of everything. It's the nation of immigrants, theoretically. But so I suppose I like that idea, theoretically, of it being a nation of immigrants. But a lot of people in America seem to even forget that, because they're too far removed from the melting pot. They're like, anyway, America, it's complicated.
Sounds cool.
It is. I mean, I think it is. I think it's. I don't think. Make a bold statement here. I don't think a country as a whole, can be good or bad.
Yeah.
But I think other countries have like worse, power structures, and the people in charge can do worse things and better things in other countries. But I think, like, as a day-to-day citizen, just living out my life the best I can. Yeah, other countries are just like better than others. No public transit, but you can be like more open about things. Americans are, that's their whole thing, is being open about everything and letting everybody know what your thing is, whether people dislike it or not. It's a real in your face aggressive country, I think. I don't know. It's also like regionally, it's so different from like where I live versus the South versus the West versus the Midwest. They're all like so drastically different in how they behave, or it feels like that when I travel. I'm in the bitter. Anyway, this is a very long answer to a very simple question. And I'm going to...
It's okay. I like listening to you talk.
Well, thank you. I often worry that I talk too much, and I try to, especially since I'm hosting a show, I try to, rein it in and let other people talk where they can. But I also, as the host, I'm like, whenever there's empty space, I'm like, oh God, I got to fill it with my words, because you can't have empty air. But anyway, do you like living where you live, Milky Lemon? How is it? Do you reverse that question? How is it like living in yeah, I was just like trying to remember, like, I know where you live, but I don't remember if it's like publicly aware knowledge that we where you live.
Yeah, I live in Singapore, and I guess it's okay. Like, we have pretty reliable public transport.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's just kind of expensive.
Okay.
But it's cool.
You're in the southern hemisphere, right? So are you moving into summer now, or?
We have like we're just summer 24
okay
all year long here.
Okay, that's what I knew. You were very close, but I didn't know you were that close to the equator, where you're in the constant summer country.
Yeah, it sucks sometimes. Most of the time.
It's the treat of living like as someone who lives in New England, which is like one of those regions that has like all the seasons. It is fun occasionally to find out both of the ways that the world can try to kill you, by either freezing you to death or burning you to death. It's nice to have the variation every now and then. To like, wow, I have to prepare for both ends of the temperature spectrum. I can't just buy an air conditioner. I have to also have to buy a way to keep myself warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
As an added bonus, you're not even as a fun little bonus fact for the audience, you'd think, but not even the first developer from Singapore to be in Indiepocalypse. I think you're the second. That makes the...
Oh yeah, I checked out the other creator actually.
Yeah, there are. I mean, yeah, there's like, we're all over the place, and it's trying to get as many places as possible where I can get all those countries. So it's nice to see people from like, that's another thing when I handpick games, is I try to find like I have that strict no dudes policy because like dudes are going to like they got enough opportunities, you know. And if you just make a magazine full of dudes, what's the point, you know? So it's another like conscious decision where it's like where you can. Oops, I gotta try to avoid just repeating the same things over and over again. So anyway, this is I'm not going to. I have a lot of like I'm trying to save all my fire and my passion for when I do my year in review blog thing. Then I can just go real wild. But if I burn it now in a radio show, when I get to writing that thing, I'm like, I already said that. I don't feel like rehashing all that. I'm good. But that all said, we're officially gonna wrap it up. We're gonna shut it down. Before we go, okay, Lemon, what have you got to plug for the people? Where can they find you? What is your stuff? What have you got to promote?
I'm on Twitter most of the time. Yeah, I use Twitter a lot.
And where for the people who are listening and the people who aren't in the chat that get like a nice little like me linking your Twitter account, I guess what would your Twitter account be?
It's Milky Lemon, but like the milk has 2 Ks.
Oh, there you go. That's couldn't get easier than that, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah. New game as of this month. It's Yuki's 4P2. It's very long title. Even longer title, I think.
Yeah, I hit the character limit actually.
I didn't know it had one. Well, like for Itch's character limit?
Oh yeah, it's like I think 120 characters.
Okay. Well, maybe if you push it far enough and you keep at it, you'll have to force a policy update on it.
Yeah, it'll increase.
Yeah, it'll be your legacy. Besides the games themselves, you'll be like, I made its character limits longer for titles because I needed them. As the story progresses, you need to ever increase the number of descriptors and adjectives.
Yeah, we gotta have more light novel-esque titles.
Yes, that aren't sort of like light novel in. This is an important question. Is there a good isekai? I feel like that's like they don't exist, but everybody does love them.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't like it.
Okay. It feels like it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a weird genre for like dudes who are really cool in fantasy worlds. It's like, what if I was my video game character and all the elf ladies liked me? But I didn't.
The self-insert fantasy.
Anyway, look forward to my isekai light novel coming soon.
Can't wait.
It's about I kind of what if I don't really write fiction, like especially like prose fiction. But I wonder if that would be a fun, like, now that it's passed, but like maybe next year, a NaNoWriMo, whatever that thing. Yes, the thing we write in November. I wonder if that would be a fun jam of just like encouraging everybody to write their own isekai light novels. Anyway.
Maybe you could start your own game jam.
Yes.
Just about isekai light novels.
I think I'm going to think about isekai light novels for a little while. And like, because one of my other inspirations occasionally is seeing something that like I don't like, or something that doesn't happen, or I don't like. It's like, well, what if I tried doing that? Or I'll see like a character dynamic, and I'll be like, you know, what if I can do that but different or something? Anyway, before this is a thing where I was gonna say I was gonna do that I keep rambling, but Indiepocalypse, I'd recommend that you buy it. It's on sale right now for yeah, okay, so yeah. This is me gonna talk about Escaflowne and how Escaflowne is like a good touchstone of how isekai used to be about like it used to be like a shoujo genre, I believe, and then
Really?
yeah, because I think isekai used to be about like girls going to worlds and meeting princes and that kind of thing, like Escaflowne, and I think there's a few. Um, isn't there a Clamp one that's like that? Is Magic Knight Rayearth a isekai? I'm not sure. I feel like there's another one in that genre that's like magical girl adjacent, but is also an isekai. Anyway, yeah, I think it was primarily shoujo, and then something switched over to be like very het dude. I'm super cool. I'm the ultimate fantasy world badass.
I guess it's just each person's fantasy.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I do dream about bringing my laptop into the fantasy world and being like, look, I'm playing on my laptop in the fantasy world. I died and was reincarnated into the fantasy world as a top-level radio host, and now I use magical broadcast to reunite the world. Anyhow.
That'd make for a pretty good visual novel. Or a light novel.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy because, like, once you say magic, like, I use magic waves and people hear them out of shells and birds and mirrors. Anything is a TV. My next life is a villainist. Anyway, I don't know that. I mean, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that one only in the in that I think they took out like there was a visual novel, a game of that, and they took out the like they stripped the bisexuality out of that from what I remember. And that's my understanding of my life as a villainess or my next life or etc. etc. No, actually, I think I've read a similarly one where about villainesses and love. And I'm like, that's not that bad. But anyway, wrapping it up again for the third time before we start talking about comics. And I throw down my screeds about whatevers and whatever. Indiepocalypse, buy it. It's good. It's on sale. Indiepocalypse.com or indiepocalypse.com/sale. Join it. You could join it. You could be part of it. You could one day be on this very show with me talking to you about Mario and asking you, what's the deal? Why does he have a brother? That seems strange. Why is his brother taller than him? Is that saying something? Find out all these mysteries about Mario by joining Indiepocalypse at indiepocalypse.com/submit. And if your game's good in terms of like, whatever abstract thing good means, good through my singularly judged filter, could get a cool 40 spot. That's, or however $40 translates into the local currency. It's 20 up front, but I get a reliable 20 in sales every week or every issue. So it's not a lot of money, but it's like a pizza, it's dinner. It's more than zero, which I think is nice. But
yeah, money's cool.
We all need it still.
That's right.
2022, if you got no money, we all understand that we all need money, that we got no money. So people need to stop being like, yeah, I know capitalism bad, but got to promote. It's like, yes, we all understand. We don't need to preface it anymore. Just promote your stuff, and people will take it for granted that we recognize that the world is driven by currency, and that most people don't have enough of it. Have more self-confidence. Speaking of money, if you want to give me more money, and by me I mean like partially me and then partially all the developers involved in Indiepocalypse, you could also sign up for the Patreon at indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. And it's like a subscription, you know? If you just tuned in now and you're like, oh, I miss all those questions, I want to hear Milky Lemon had to say, what are the 4 Ps? How do I unlock them? What's up with these girls? Are they tiny? Are they regular size? How does one get so many girlfriends? To find out all that in a week instead of a month, or not even a week, like 3 days, on this Monday instead of 4 Mondays from now, you can sign up at Patreon and you get them, because you withhold stuff from people, because that's how capitalism works. You don't give them the things. Right. Exactly. You don't give them the things that they want until they give you money, even though there's no particular reason why you shouldn't give them the things that they want. Anyhow, Indiepocalypse is doing its best to redistribute the wealth. It just does not have I just don't have very much wealth personally to redistribute. So, wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. We're leaving. We're shutting it down. Ring the bells. The end of the show bells, because it's a coming. Trains pulling out of the station. Buses are leaving. Don't miss the stop. I'm gonna leave you all with the final video of the night, the final song of the night, which will be Car Seat Headrest with It's Only Sex. Milky Lemon, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Glad to have you on the show and in the zine. Wish you the best of luck with all future games. May you one day... I want to find out with those 5 teens what their deal is. Hopefully.
I hope I find out too.
Hopefully we all find out together. Thank you again, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.
The other night I cried while thinking of having sex with you, not out of desire or shame, but some subconscious